Hi everyone, I'm Sophia. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to work through a short Pilates sequence focusing on flexibility and mobility. So I think often when we try and stretch, we almost create that sense of tension because we're hell-bent on that stretch. But when we are pregnant, Hi everyone, I'm Sophia. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to do a short Pilates sequence that's suitable for all trimesters, focusing on flexibility and mobility. So we're going to come onto our mats in 4-point kneeling. We're just going to take our hands underneath our shoulders and our knees underneath our hips and just take a moment to organise the body and spine. So first of all, we're going to organise the pelvis in as close to neutral as you can find. Neutral is where hip bones and pubic bone are level, and we've got that subtle engagement of the ribs as we press into our hands. Just take a moment to try and create length, so creating a little bit of length between the skull on top of the neck, and then length between each vertebra, and then the next coming down through the spine. From here, we're going to inhale. And then on the exhale, we're going to drive the tailbone down towards the back of the knees as we begin to articulate through our spine, creating a bit of an angry cat shape. We're going to inhale here, trying to lift the lower part of the back up towards the ceiling. And then as you exhale, we're going to reverse it, separating the sit bones, articulating through the spine, finding a comfortable level of extension. Lift the heart, the neck, the nose. Inhale. As you exhale, we're going to reverse that movement, so drawing the sit bones back towards each other, tucking that tailbone, creating as much flexion in the lower back as you can comfortably, mobilising at each joint and then the next. Inhale here, and then exhale, reverse it. Good, and we're just going to keep this going, gently mobilising the spine. Good, trying to find the maximum range of movement at each joint and then the next. So I think often when we go for a big stretch, we are so focused on the stretch, we can actually create a little bit of tension inside the body rather than release it. And sometimes I find it more beneficial to focus on mobilising and using that full range, and then just working with the natural stretch that gives us, rather than being hell-bent on creating that deep stretch straight off, which isn't really ideal during pregnancy. Good, let's do the next one. And then we're going to come into a bit of a hip stretch. So gently walking the hands in towards your knees, we're going to step one foot up the mat. You're welcome to use something to help you with your balance if you need to. And then level those hips off as best as you can. So from here, we're going to drive the tailbone down, gently tucking the pubic bone forwards. And then we're going to ease into the stretch and then back out of the stretch. So it's a small range of movement, looking for a gentle stretch in the front of the hip and then coming out. And again, it's just a small, gentle movement. We're not looking for anything too dramatic. Looking to stabilise the position of the spine as best we can. Good, let's keep it going for 4 more here. Good, so we're opening the hip up. 3, 2, and then last one. I think it's worth mentioning also that we're not pushing anywhere near that end range of movement, so not just sitting into the stretch. We're trying to always support ourselves. So again, levelling that pelvis, organising about a right angle at the front leg, tucking the pubic bone forwards, and then gently easing into a bit of a stretch. We won't have to go too far, and then back out again. So focus on the position of the pelvis more than pressing into the stretch. We only need a small range of movement. Breathing steady and smooth, supporting yourself with your core, so making sure your tummy's switched on. And then we're not just giving into gravity and kind of slopping into it. We want to create that sense of lift right through the body. Good, let's do 3 more here. And then last one. And we're going to come back to our 4-point kneeling position. So taking the hands to the mat, stepping your leg back carefully, making sure that you feel comfortable. Pressing the floor away from you. Good, gathering up those ribs and then organising neutral pelvis, or as close to neutral as you can find. From here we're going to hinge back, so we're going to hinge the knees in towards the chest, keeping the tailbone lifted, and then we're going to gently rock forward. So in this exercise we are mobilising the hips in flexion, which means we're drawing the thighs in towards the chest, but we're stabilising the pelvis. So if you think of the way that you sit on the sofa or at the table or at your desk and what position your legs are in, sometimes we don't really use this end range of movement at the hip, this deep flexion. Sometimes we just stick it around 90 degrees, but there's a little bit more movement there to be had, so really important that we use it. And just gently ease those hips. Lovely. So really focusing on the mobility at the hip, stabilising the pelvis and spine, moving within what feels comfortable and reasonable for you today. Lovely. So when you're ready, let's come back to our neutral. Make sure you've got that little level of engagement in the tummy and that you feel comfortable. And then from here, we're going to thread the right arm underneath the left, doing a gentle twist, only going as far as you feel totally at ease with. And then we're going to gently twist away from the floor, reaching for the ceiling, and then come back to the centre. So this exercise is a rotation exercise called threading the needle, and the aim of the game is just to rotate the spine. And come back. Keep it going, working one side then the other. Trying to keep your pelvis as level and square as you can. So as you thread your needle, we want to keep the length of the spine. So avoid any temptation to round your back. We want to create as much length as you possibly can, creating space for baby. Good, really focusing on the rotation of your spine. Good, let's do one more. And then gently come back to the centre. From here, we're going to take our legs out in front of us and find ourselves in a comfortable position. So from here, we're going to ground down through the sit bones, find as much lift and length through the body as you can, and then narrow that waist just to support the spine. Taking the hands at about hip width, just wider than hip width, about level with your hips. We're then going to inhale, float one arm up. As you exhale, we're going to reach up and over, finding a nice side bend. So again, you're moving with a comfortable range of movement. You don't want to go into it and lose control. So focus on drawing in through the waist. Look for that sequential movement. So it's the tilt of the head, working down through the spine, reaching up and away. Good. Allowing the bottom shoulder to fall away from your ear. And then as you move, put your mind in your pelvis and kind of detect whether your sit bones are staying still. So we want to create flexion of the spine, so side flexion, without allowing the pelvis to tip. You want the pelvis to stay as still as possible. Get to creating as much length right through the body as you can. Good. Stretching out through your waist. Good. Really nice. Last one. Make sure to finish on your second side so you're even. And then gently come back to the centre. Roll your shoulders if you need to. Lovely. And then from here we're going to come onto an elbow support. So carefully taking yourself down to the mat, allowing your waist to rest into your hands, creating length right through the body and spine. And then we're going to keep our pelvis square, so both hips are facing up towards the ceiling. Inhale, prepare, press into the elbows. As you exhale, we're going to do one knee drop. So we're going to let one knee come out to the side. And then inhale, come back to the centre. And then exhale, let the other knee come out to the side. And then inhale, come back to the centre. This is one of my favourite exercises for mobilising the hip and the sacroiliac joint, and it's one of my favourites because after I had our first, my pelvis got jarred and stuck, and I swear by this exercise now. I do it every day, and I just think it helps to keep me mobile. So you're looking for the stability of the pelvis and spine, keeping those hips square to the ceiling. Good, as you gently take the knee as wide as you can comfortably. Good, pressing into the elbows, making sure that your shoulders are away from your ears. Good. Let's do one more on each side. Keeping those hips really still. And the last one. And then when you're ready, come back to the centre. So from here, we're going to come all the way down to the mat, letting the arms rest long down by your side, bringing the feet together, heels touching, big toe joints touching, ankles touching. Squeeze those knees towards each other and just bring your arms into a low V. From here, we're going to go into hip rolls. So we're going to keep the feet heavy on the mat as we gently roll the hips over to one side. So twisting the pelvis over to one side, and then gently draw yourself back to the centre. So using the obliques to support you and move you, but looking for the stability of the movement as you rotate the spine. So a really nice one to rotate that lower part of the back. Move within a nice small range of movement, making sure that you feel totally comfortable and at ease. The exercise is very controlled, and we're looking for the ribs to stay fairly still, so maybe allowing a little bit of movement to the bottom rib, but no more than that. Keeping the knees side by side, and almost the pelvis and legs moving as one. I always imagine that my feet are on a wobbly floorboard, and they're wobbling one side, and then they come back, and then the other. Just going to keep it nice and gentle for today, focusing on the mobility of the exercise more than anything else. And then when you're ready, we're going to come back. Good, let the feet relax onto the mat. Good. Carefully take yourself over onto one side and then peel yourself back up to seated. So that's just a nice little mobilisation for you. I hope you enjoyed it. Well done, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.